the fall of Rome. Hey, tonight we're going to step into a world that's slowly crumbling around you. Imagine waking up to a morning that feels both familiar and foreign at the same time. You stretch beneath a rough wool blanket, the chill of early morning seeping into your bones. The world outside your roundhouse is damp, the air thick with mist, and the smell of wood smoke drifts on the wind. It's 407 AD, and the once mighty Roman Empire has just abandoned Britain. The roads that once connected this place to the heart of civilization are now little more than overgrown trails. The stone villas, the grand monuments, the sense of safety, all of it is slipping through your fingers. You might be wondering what happened to the mighty Roman legions, the ones that kept the Saxons and other raiders at bay. They were sent packing, headed back to Gaul under the command of Constantine III. That's it. The Romans are gone, leaving nothing but ruins, both physical and social. For a moment, you think about the stories your grandfather told you. How the Romans once ruled this land with discipline and strength, their soldiers marching proudly through villages like yours. But now, the streets are empty, the soldiers gone, and your people are left to fend for themselves. Life is different now. Gone are the days of Roman protection, and in their place, there's nothing but uncertainty. No more grand Roman baths, no more paved roads, no more protection from invaders. The heavy taxes have disappeared, but so has the safety they once provided. You pull on your boots, feeling the cold seep through your worn tunic. As you step outside, the sight of the crumbling stone walls of a once proud Roman villa catches your eye. They stand as a reminder of what was, and what is now lost. It's a world of uncertainty, but something stirs in the air. The wind whispers of change, and there's a spark of something you can't quite place. You've heard the whispers in the village, the murmurs of something stirring beyond the horizon. A hero? Perhaps, but not the shining knight with a gleaming sword you've always heard about. This hero is one born from the chaos, someone who knows the land, the people, and the fight for survival. Historians still debate the moment when Britain's fate shifted, the point when a new leader, a new hope, emerged from the ashes of the Roman Empire. That moment, though, began with a figure that would change everything. A man named Artorius, a protector, a warrior, and soon, a legend. For now, you can't know how it will all unfold, but you sense that the winds of history are beginning to blow in a new direction. And it all starts here, with you, your people, and the land that once was. Life after Rome's departure. The sun rises slowly, casting a pale glow over the settlement as you step outside. The morning air is crisp, and you can feel the weight of the world settling in. The Romans are gone. The grand empire that once held sway over these lands has packed up and left, taking with them more than just soldiers. They took their infrastructure, their laws, their sense of order, and they left behind a people struggling to hold on to what little they have. You walk through the village, your boots crunching on the frost-covered earth. The once sturdy Roman roads are crumbling, now little more than winding paths barely wide enough for two people to walk side by side. The majestic villas, once symbols of Roman power and wealth, are now mere skeletons, their stone walls cracked and falling apart. The world feels quieter without the sounds of Roman legions marching in perfect step. Instead, there's a lingering silence, unnerving, as if even the land itself is holding its breath. The villagers are hard at work, as always, tending to their daily tasks. Women carry water from the well, their heavy wooden buckets swinging in rhythm with their steps. Children play in the streets, their laughter echoing across the settlement. The men are working the land, though the soil feels different now. It's no longer the soil of a Roman province, rich and cared for, but the soil of a land left to fend for itself. You can feel it in the way your fingers sink into the earth. It's not as yielding as it once was. The fear is in the air, too. It hangs over everything like a storm cloud. Without the Romans to protect you, there's nothing stopping the raiders from coming. The Saxons are growing bolder each year, their raids more frequent and their attacks more savage. There are whispers of the Picts from the north and the Irish from the west, all of them eyeing your land. Every day feels like the calm before the storm. You know it's only a matter of time before the raiders come knocking on your door, and there will be no Roman soldiers to save you this time. As you move through the village, the familiar faces of the people around you don't bring the comfort they once did. Everyone is on edge, their eyes darting toward the horizon as if expecting an attack at any moment. You can see it in their faces, the same fear, the same uncertainty. But then there's something else. There's a glimmer of hope, a spark of defiance, even in the midst of all this chaos. And that's when you hear it. The murmurs of a man who has come to change everything. His name is Artorius, and he's not like the others who have come promising protection, only to turn their backs once things got difficult. No, Artorius is different. He's a man who's been to the farthest reaches of the land and seen the chaos for himself. And he's come to offer more than just promises. He's come to fight, to lead, and to protect. Historians still debate the origins of Artorius. Was he a soldier, a nobleman, a king in waiting? Some say he was the real King Arthur, the legend behind the myths. Others believe he was just a man trying to restore order in a land teetering on the brink of destruction. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. His arrival is a turning point in your life and in the life of your people. You watch as Artorius enters the village, his presence immediately commanding attention. Tall, strong, with the unmistakable look of a soldier who's seen battle. His dark eyes scan the crowd, taking in everything in an instant. When he speaks, his voice is steady, sure of itself, and it carries across the crowd with ease. He's not here to ask for your loyalty. He's here to offer you a chance to stand together, to fight together, and to survive together. As he speaks of unity, of strength in numbers, you feel something stirring deep inside you. It's the first real spark of hope you've felt since the Romans left. You don't know what's going to happen, but you can't help but feel that this man, Artorius, is the one who might just be able to turn the tide. Historians still argue about the exact moment when Artorius began to rise to power, but you know this is where it starts. In the midst of a broken Britain, with raiders at the gates and the land divided, Artorius stands as a beacon of something more, something worth fighting for. Artorius appears. The village falls silent as Artorius steps forward. He's tall, towering over the crowd, his presence enough to command attention even from the most hardened of villagers. His dark hair is cropped short, a Roman style, but his beard is full, a nod to the old ways of your people. His clothes are simple, but speak of someone who has lived in the world, not in luxury. A deep blue tunic, worn leather armor, and a sword at his side. Not the crude farming tools or hastily crafted weapons your people use, but a proper Roman blade, gleaming even in the weak sunlight. At his side, the sword seems to hum with history, and for a moment, the reality of this man's presence sets in. He's no ordinary traveler. He's a commander, a leader, and perhaps the answer to everything you've been waiting for. His eyes scan the crowd, gray like the winter sea, piercing yet not unkind. They linger on you, and for a second, it feels like he sees right through you, as if he understands the weight you carry. The weight of survival, of uncertainty, of fear. You swallow hard, a knot forming in your throat. This is no ordinary man. This is the man who could lead you, guide you, protect you, and perhaps even change the fate of your people. I was born here, he begins, his voice calm and unwavering, cutting through the murmur of the crowd. Though I served Rome, my heart has always belonged to Britain. The Romans have abandoned us, but I have not. There's something about his words that stirs something in your chest, a fierce, burning hope that you haven't felt in years. It's a hope you didn't even realize you were missing, the kind of hope that makes you believe that, maybe, just maybe, this man could do what no one else has managed to do. Defend your land. Protect your people. Stop the raiders who have been coming more frequently, burning everything in their path. I've seen the same threat from the shores of the south to the hills of the north. Artorius continues. The Saxons, the Picts, the Irish, they all come for what we have. But if we stand together, we can hold them off. If we fight as one, we can push them back. His words echo in your mind, reverberating with the promise of something greater. The fear that has lived in your chest for so long. The fear that you and your people might not survive. begins to melt away. Artorius isn't here to take. He isn't here to rule. He's here to fight, to defend, and, if needed, to lead. But not everyone is convinced. From the crowd, a voice calls out, Brenice, the blacksmith, a man who has seen more than his fair share of would-be leaders. How do we know you're not just another warlord? How do we know you're not here to replace Roman taxes with your own? A fair question. It's a question you yourself are wondering. There's been no shortage of men who've promised protection, only to demand more than they gave in return. Taxation, harsh rule, endless demands. It's been the pattern for years now, and you can't blame the people for being wary. Artorius doesn't flinch. In fact, he seems almost amused by the question. I don't seek to rule. I seek to protect. When the danger has passed, I will leave, and you will govern yourselves. I swear this, by Christ and the old gods. He raises his sword, holding it high as if offering it to the crowd. This is my pledge. I offer my sword in defense of this land, and I will leave when it's no longer needed. The crowd goes quiet. There's a tension in the air, thick enough to cut through with a knife. But something in his eyes, something in his voice, tells you that Artorius isn't lying. This isn't about power for him. It's about survival. Your survival. The council of elders gathers around the stone, their faces creased with age and wisdom. They exchange glances, murmuring quietly among themselves. Then, Gareth, the oldest of the elders, steps forward. We will provide what you ask, he says, his voice gravely. Food, shelter, and 10 men to join your cause. Artorius nods, his expression solemn. He doesn't say much more, but the promise is enough. The crowd begins to disperse, some with hopeful glances, others still uncertain. But you can feel it in the air, the weight of what just happened. The tide has turned. That night, you lie awake, the flickering light of the hearth casting shadows against the walls of your roundhouse. The village is quieter than usual, but the usual tension that's always hung in the air feels different now. It's not gone, but it's softer, almost hopeful. You think of Artorius, his words, his presence, his promise. Could he really be the hero your people need? Could he be the one to finally turn the tide? You don't know, but for the first time in a long while, you feel a spark of something you thought you'd lost, hope. Historians still argue over whether Artorius was truly the legendary King Arthur, or simply a man whose deeds became entwined with myth. Some say he was the man behind the myth, a king who never wore a crown but still earned the loyalty of his people. Others claim he was nothing more than a soldier in a broken land, doing what needed to be done to survive. Regardless of who he was, Artorius' arrival was the beginning of something greater, something that would change the future of Britain forever. The council's skepticism. The next day, everything seems different. The air itself feels lighter, though the same grim reality still hovers around you. The village hums with quiet activity. There's more talk now than there's been in months. But the whispers aren't all hopeful. Not everyone in the village is convinced that Artorius is the man he claims to be. As you walk through the settlement, you overhear snippets of conversation. Some of the villagers are excited, murmuring about the promise of protection, the hope of an organized force strong enough to push back the raiders. Others remain skeptical. We've seen men like him before. One woman mutters as she passes, shaking her head. Promises of protection, but when the dust settles, they're gone. And we're left with nothing but the empty promises. You can't help but agree. You've seen it all before. People come and go, making empty claims of protection and glory, but in the end, nothing changes. The Saxons still come, the raids continue, and the land remains divided. But Artorius is different, isn't he? You think back to his words, how he promised to leave once the danger was over, how he swore not to rule but to defend. You've never heard such a thing from a would-be leader before. But still, doubt lingers in your mind, like the shadow of an old wound that refuses to heal. The village council meets again, this time to discuss the terms of Artorius' offer. You're there, standing at the back of the crowd, watching as the elders gather around the ancient stone. There's a weight to this moment, the air thick with expectation. The decision they make could shape the future of your people, and yet you can see the uncertainty in their eyes. The elders have lived through decades of struggle and hardship. They've seen leaders come and go, each with their own promises, each with their own agenda. And they're not ready to put their faith in Artorias just yet. Are we really going to trust this man? Brenice, the blacksmith, speaks up, his voice carrying over the murmurs of the crowd. We don't know anything about him. He's a Roman soldier, for all we know. How can we trust someone who's only just arrived? The words hang in the air, sharp and heavy. The villagers shift uncomfortably. Some agree with Brenice, some don't. But you can't help but feel a pang of doubt yourself. What do you really know about Artorias? What if he's just another warlord, looking to use your people as pawns in his quest for power? But then, you remember his promise. The way his eyes shone with sincerity when he spoke of protecting the land. The way he swore on both Christ and the old gods that he would not stay to rule. That was something different. Something you hadn't heard from anyone in a long time. Gareth, the eldest of the council, raises his hand, calling for silence. The crowd falls quiet, the tension palpable. You can see the weight of the decision on his shoulders, his age showing in the lines of his face, in the slow, measured way he moves. He's seen it all before, and yet, you know that this time, the stakes are higher. Fate has brought us a defender, Gareth says, his voice calm but firm. Artorias' words are not just empty promises. He has proven himself. I have seen his sword, his discipline, and his resolve. If we do not stand now, we will fall. This land will be lost, and with it, everything we've fought for. The crowd murmurs, some nodding in agreement, others still unsure. But the weight of Gareth's words carries the room. You can feel it. The decision is being made, and it's a decision that will change everything. After a long moment of silence, Gareth speaks again. We will provide what he asks, he declares. Food, shelter, and 10 men to join his cause. The decision is made. Artorias will have the support he needs, and the village will stand with him. It's not unanimous. There are still murmurs of doubt, still those who wonder if this is just another fleeting hope. But for the first time in years, you feel a spark of something you haven't felt in a long time. The sense of unity, the belief that, maybe, just maybe, this time, things could be different. That the Saxons will be pushed back, that your people will be safe, that this land will be protected. As the meeting disperses, you can't help but look at Artorias with a newfound sense of purpose. He's not just some wandering soldier anymore. He's the leader you've been waiting for. The one who will help you rebuild, who will give your people the chance to survive. For the first time in a long while, you feel something stirring deep inside you. It's not just hope, it's trust. Trust that maybe, just maybe, Artorias is the protector he claims to be. Historians still debate the significance of this moment. Was this the true beginning of Artorias' legend? Was this the turning point that led to the rise of King Arthur? Or was it simply the beginning of a man's journey in a broken land, trying to hold together the pieces of a world falling apart? Whatever it was the moment when Artorias proved that he was more than just a soldier. He was the protector Britain needed. The oath and the sword. The days blur together as preparations begin in earnest. The air is thick with tension as the villagers move about, gathering what little they have to offer: food, supplies, and men willing to fight. Artorias' promise rings in your ears. He's not here to take anything, only to defend. But you're starting to realize that there's more to this than just his words. The weight of his presence is something you can feel in your bones, and you're beginning to understand that he might be the leader your people have been waiting for all along. It's midday when Artorias calls for a gathering at the meeting stone again. You make your way there, your heart pounding in your chest. The stone is large and worn, its surface smoothed by the hands of those who have gathered here before you. It's the heart of your settlement, where decisions are made and where the future is shaped. As you approach, you see Artorias standing before the stone, his sword at his side. He's taller than most of the men here, his presence commanding attention even from a distance. You've seen him around the settlement, speaking to the villagers, offering reassurance, but now, in the full light of the midday sun, you can't help but feel the weight of what he's about to do. This isn't just about words anymore. This is about action. Artorius raises his hand, calling for silence. The crowd falls quiet, the only sound the wind rustling through the trees. You can feel the anticipation building, a sense of something momentous about to unfold. I have sworn to defend this land. Artorius begins, his voice calm but firm. And I offer my sword in your service. He unsheathes his sword, the blade gleaming in the sunlight. It's not just any sword. This is a Roman weapon, expertly crafted, and it feels like a relic from another time. As he holds it aloft, you feel the weight of history pressing down on you. This is more than a weapon. It's a symbol of something greater, a symbol of hope. The crowd watches in silence as Artorius continues. I swear by Christ and the old gods, he says, his eyes scanning the crowd, meeting your gaze with an intensity that sends a shiver down your spine. I will not stay to rule. I will not take what is not mine. When the danger has passed, I will leave, and you will govern yourselves. But for now, I offer my sword, to defend, to protect, to stand together. He drives the sword into the earth, the tip striking the ground with a sharp thud. The sound echoes through the settlement, reverberating in your chest. In that moment, something shifts inside you. The weight of his words, the promise in his actions, it all feels real now. He's not here for power, not here to claim dominion. He's here to protect, to fight alongside you, and to help rebuild what's been lost. You watch as the villagers begin to move, a sense of determination settling over them. One by one, they approach the stone, placing their hands on the ancient rock. It's a simple gesture, but it's a powerful one, a gesture of unity, of solidarity, of trust in this man who has sworn to fight for them, for you. And then, it's your turn. You step forward, your heart pounding in your chest. The sword still stands in the ground, a reminder of the promise Artorius has made. As you place your hand on the stone, you feel the cool surface beneath your fingertips, the rough texture of the centuries-old rock. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the stillness of the moment wash over you. This is it. This is the beginning. Artorius watches you, his gaze steady and unwavering. Will you join us? He asks, his voice soft but full of meaning. The question isn't just about fighting. It's about everything. It's about the future of your people, the survival of your land, and the hope that, together, you can stand against the chaos that's threatening to consume everything. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision, but also the sense of purpose that's been growing inside you. This isn't just a fight for survival anymore. It's a fight for the future, for something more than just the land, but for the people, for the way of life that's been threatened by invaders for far too long. I will, you say, your voice steady, though your heart races in your chest. You've made your decision. You will fight for this land, for your people, and for the chance to rebuild what the Romans left behind. Artorius nods, his expression softening for the first time since you've met him. Good. Together, we will stand. The crowd erupts in a wave of murmurs, some with excitement, others with doubt, but you can see it in their eyes, the same spark that's ignited inside you. They've made their choice. They've chosen to stand with Artorius. And now, you all have a purpose, a reason to fight. As you step back, your eyes linger on the sword still buried in the earth. It's a symbol, yes, but it's also a challenge. A challenge to rise, to fight, and to defend what is yours. Historians still argue whether Artorius was truly the legendary King Arthur, the one who would unite Britain and lead it to greatness. Some say he was a mere man, no more than a soldier fighting for survival. But in that moment, as the sword stands in the earth, you realize that it doesn't matter what history says. What matters is that Artorius is here, and that he's offering something you never thought possible, a chance for a future, a chance for Britain to stand strong again. Training the farmers. The days that follow are filled with a strange mix of uncertainty and determination. You've never seen your village move with such purpose. The air is charged with a sense of something new, something transformative. It's not just the threat of raiders that has brought this energy. It's Artorius' promise, his sword, and the hope that something more is possible. The days now revolve around training, preparation, and the steady building of something that might, one day, be an army. The village, once a collection of farmers and craftsmen, is now becoming something more. The men who once tended fields, repaired roofs, and fished in the rivers are now learning how to wield a sword, how to defend themselves and their homes. You're no different. As much as the idea of taking up arms against the Saxons fills you with dread, you know it's necessary. And Artorius isn't asking you to be a soldier. He's asking you to be something more, something that can protect the future. You start with the basics. Holding a sword, swinging it. The weight of it feels strange in your hands, awkward even. You're not a soldier. You're a farmer, a villager, a son of this land. But as you practice, you begin to feel the rhythm of the blade. It becomes less of a foreign object and more of an extension of yourself. The first few attempts are clumsy, but with each swing, you feel a little more confident, a little more capable. Artorius leads the training, his presence a constant reminder of the stakes at hand. His movements are fluid, controlled, precise. He's not just teaching you how to fight. He's teaching you how to survive, how to defend what's yours. His sword strikes the air with deadly accuracy, and you can't help but watch him, fascinated by the way he moves. It's not the flashy technique of a knight. It's the calm, methodical skill of a soldier who's seen battle. You're not here for glory, Artorius says during one of the training sessions, his voice steady and calm. You're here to survive, to protect your families, your homes, your way of life. Don't worry about being a hero. Worry about being strong enough to stand when the time comes. The men around you listen intently, and you realize that they're all here for the same reason. They're not here for fame or honor. They're here because they have no choice. The Saxons are coming, and they need to be ready. The land needs to be ready. As the days pass, the training intensifies. The rhythm of the village changes. Once, the men would be in the fields by sunrise, tending to crops, mending fences, or preparing for the harvest. Now, they rise early, not to work the land, but to work with weapons, practicing swordplay, learning how to form a shield wall, how to defend against raiders. The women, too, play a role in the training. While the men practice with swords, they gather supplies, tend to the wounded, and fortify the settlement. It's a community effort, and for the first time in years, it feels like the village is truly coming together. You begin to see the shift. The people who once seemed so ordinary are now becoming soldiers, fighters, defenders. You notice the change in their eyes. They're not just frightened farmers anymore. They're people with a purpose. The old ways of farming and crafting haven't disappeared, but they've become secondary. The new priority is survival, and that means adapting to the reality of a world without Rome. As the training progresses, you start to see more of Artorius' influence. His soldiers, those who have traveled with him, are different from the villagers. They're disciplined, focused, and ruthless in their training. They move like a unit, each man working in perfect harmony with the others. It's a far cry from the ragtag group of villagers you once were. But it's not just about learning how to fight. It's about learning how to work together. Artorius doesn't just teach you how to hold a sword. He teaches you how to trust the man beside you, to fight not just for yourself, but for the people standing with you. One afternoon, as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, you find yourself standing shoulder to shoulder with your fellow villagers, weapons in hand, sweat dripping down your face. You've come a long way from the timid farmer who first picked up a sword. You're not a warrior yet, but you're starting to feel like one. You look around at the men standing beside you, once farmers, craftsmen, and traders, now soldiers in their own right. There's a strength in the air, a quiet resolve that wasn't there before. It's the strength of a people who know what's at stake. Historians still debate whether the strength of Artorius' army truly lay in his military strategy or in the way he inspired his men. Some say he was a master tactician. Others claim it was his charisma that won the loyalty of his followers. But you can feel it as you stand there, sword in hand, the sweat of the day drying on your brow. It's not just his tactics that matter. It's the unity, the purpose. It's the sense that, together, you're stronger than you ever could have been apart. And in that moment, you realize that you're no longer just defending a settlement. You're defending a future where Britain, no longer under the shadow of Rome, stands strong on its own. First battle, defending the settlement. The day arrives sooner than you expect. You've been training, preparing, and drilling with your fellow villagers, but nothing truly prepares you for the moment when the Saxons are no longer a distant threat. They are here. The familiar hum of activity in the village shifts to an eerie, quiet tension. You can hear the thud of hammers on shields as the men prepare their weapons. The women and children are hurriedly ushered to the safety of the central buildings, where the fortified walls will give them at least a sliver of protection. You've seen Artorius calm in battle before, but now you see something else in his eyes: familiarity. This is not his first fight. He doesn't need to say much, only enough to ensure the village is ready. The plan has been set, and your part is clear. Defend the palisades, help the wounded, and hold your ground. There's no time for fear. The Saxons are coming, and you need to be ready to stand your ground. It's still early when the first cries ring out. The call to arms. The sound of the horses' hooves is distant at first, but it grows louder, and your heart starts to pound. The Saxons, now in full force, have arrived. You can hear the clanging of their weapons, the shouting of their war cries, the unmistakable sounds of battle about to erupt. You rush to the wall where the men are assembling. The tension in the air is thick, heavy enough to suffocate you. Your sword feels strangely light in your hands now, though the weight of it should feel like a burden. Your heart is beating so loudly you can barely hear anything else. But when you look around at the men standing beside you, your fellow villagers, you know that this is it. This is your test. You've trained for this, and though you're not a soldier, you will fight for your home, for your people. Artorius is a few paces ahead, his eyes scanning the horizon. You can see the lines of his face tighten with concentration. His warriors are already lined up, swords drawn, shields raised. They're ready, and though they don't speak, there's a quiet confidence in their stance. You wish you felt that same calm. Hold the line. Artorius calls out, his voice carrying across the gathering. Do not break. We stand together, or we fall apart. The Saxons are close now. You can hear the heavy breathing of your fellow villagers. Feel the cold sweat that runs down your back. They come from the trees, like shadows creeping toward your walls. At first, it's a blur, a flash of movement, and then you hear the first impact, the sharp clash of metal against metal. The first line of defenders, men who've been here the longest, raise their shields and brace for impact. The Saxons charge, their weapons raised high, and for a moment, everything seems to slow down. You can see them clearly now, their fierce faces painted with war, their eyes burning with the desire to take what's yours. Their battle cries pierce the air, but you stand firm, your feet planted on the earth beneath you, your sword raised. When the battle hits the walls, it's everything you imagined and nothing like what you imagined. The sound of shields slamming against shields, the crash of weapons striking flesh, the shouts and screams of men fighting for their lives. The weight of it presses down on you, and for a moment, you lose yourself in the chaos. You swing your sword, aiming for an opponent you can barely make out through the haze of smoke and dust. You don't think, you just react. Your arms are sore, your breath coming in ragged gasps, but you keep fighting. You fight not because you want to, but because you have to. You fight because this is your home, your people. And if you fall today, at least you'll fall defending what is yours. Artorius is everywhere, his sword flashing in the chaos like a beacon. You see him cut through the lines, his movements swift and deadly. He's not just leading the battle, he's the embodiment of it. He moves like a force of nature, cutting down Saxon after Saxon, his blade finding its mark with an elegance that seems almost impossible. It's hard to believe that this man, standing so tall and resolute, was once just like you, a farmer, a villager, someone who had to learn to fight for the things that mattered most. The battle rages on, each second stretching longer than the last. You can feel the exhaustion building in your muscles, the aches that were once a dull throb now screaming in protest. But you can't stop. You can't afford to stop. The Saxons are relentless, pushing harder against your defenses. Then, a roar rings out from the front lines, a Saxon warlord, towering over his men, charging straight at the defenders. His weapon is larger than any sword you've ever seen, and his fury is evident in every step he takes. He cuts down one of the men next to you with a single swing of his blade, and your heart skips a beat. This is the moment you've been dreading. The moment when you'll have to face the enemy head-on. You raise your sword, the weight of it grounding you, focusing your thoughts. You're not ready for this. You know that, but you can't back down. Not now. The Saxon warlord comes at you, his eyes locked on yours. You brace yourself, your sword in hand, as he swings. The force of his blow is enough to send a shockwave through your arms, but you manage to block it, just barely. You push back, your muscles screaming in protest, and for a split second, you think you might actually survive this. But then, something happens. A flash of blue, Artorias, moving like lightning. He's there, his sword cutting through the air, and before you can even blink, the Saxon warlord is on the ground, his life snuffed out in an instant. The battle rages on, but you feel it, the shift. The Saxons are beginning to falter. They've lost their leader, and without him, their resolve is starting to crack. The villagers, fighting alongside Artorias' men, begin to push them back, forcing them toward the outskirts of the settlement. Slowly, the Saxons begin to retreat, their battle cries fading into the distance. You can barely stand, your body exhausted, but a strange sense of relief washes over you. The village has survived. The Saxons are retreating, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you feel the weight of victory, of survival, settle over you. You've done it. You've fought, you've bled, and you've lived to see the day. Historians still argue about the significance of this battle. Some say it was just the beginning, a small skirmish in a long war that would shape the future of Britain. Others say it was the moment that Artorias truly earned his place as a leader, as the man who would defend Britain against the chaos that followed Rome's departure. But you know one thing for certain. This battle, this moment, was a turning point. It was the day your people stood together, and the day Artorias proved that he was the protector he claimed to be. A soldier's life. The days following the battle feel like a blur of exhaustion and relief. The immediate danger has passed, but the toll it has taken on you and your fellow villagers is evident in every tired step you take. The victory was hard-won, and though the Saxons have been driven back for now, the reality of what lies ahead settles in with heavy certainty. This is only the beginning. You sit on the edge of the settlement, staring out over the horizon, watching as the last of the smoke from the battle clears. The air still carries the bitter scent of blood and burnt wood, and as you breathe in, it's hard to shake the feeling that everything has changed. The life you once knew, the life of farming, of simplicity, is gone. The reality of what it means to be a soldier, to fight for survival, has sunk in. As you rise to your feet, your body aches with every movement. Your muscles, sore from the days of training and the hours spent in battle, protest every step you take. You walk slowly, the weight of your sword, heavier now, feeling both familiar and foreign. You've never been a fighter. You've never had to live this life. But the world has changed, and so have you. Artorias doesn't give you or the others time to rest. He leads his men in a brief regrouping, a strategy session that feels more like a moment of reflection than anything else. The victory, while significant, has not solved all your problems. The Saxons are still out there, and there are others who will come next. There's no time to revel in the peace you've won, not when the future is so uncertain. You're all soldiers now, Artorias tells the group gathered around him. His voice is steady, unwavering, though his face shows the fatigue of the battle. The world has changed, and with it, you have too. You can see the weariness in the faces of the men around you, but there's something else there too, something that wasn't there before. It's a kind of quiet pride, a resolve that wasn't present in the days before the battle. They're soldiers now, no longer just farmers, crafters, or traders. They've seen the cost of battle, and they've fought for something bigger than themselves. Artorias turns his attention to you and the others. You've learned to fight for your homes, for your families. But there's more to being a soldier than just swinging a sword. You must learn to survive, to adapt, and to trust each other. A soldier's life is not easy. It's not meant to be glamorous, but it is necessary. His words settle over you like a weight. It's not a life you ever imagined for yourself, but it's the one you're now living. And as much as you want to turn back, to return to the quiet life you once had, you know you can't. This is the world now. This is the life you must lead. The training doesn't stop. It intensifies, focusing not just on combat, but on the finer skills of survival. You learn how to read the land, how to find water when there's none to be had, how to build shelters from what nature provides. You practice moving as a unit, working together to outsmart and outmaneuver any enemy that may cross your path. You're not just learning how to fight, you're learning how to live in a world where war is the constant. Every day, you push yourself harder. Your body grows stronger, your movements more fluid. You become more comfortable with your sword, more skilled in the use of a shield. The early awkwardness has faded, replaced by the sharp focus of a soldier who understands that the next battle may be the one that decides whether you live or die. But the toll is not just physical. The emotional weight is heavier. You see the faces of the men who fell in the last battle, men you knew, men you fought alongside. Their absence is a silent reminder of the price of survival. Artorias doesn't sugarcoat the reality. He speaks of the fallen often, reminding you all that each life lost is a sacrifice for the greater good. But even he can't hide the sadness in his eyes when he speaks of those who didn't make it. You begin to understand what he means by survival. It's not just about living through the battles. It's about carrying on, day after day, no matter how hard it gets. It's about finding a way to keep fighting, even when you don't know if you have the strength left to do so. As the days pass, you become accustomed to this new life. It's strange, almost unreal at times, but it's the life you've chosen now. Artorias' army isn't just about battle, it's about building something new. The sense of camaraderie among the soldiers, the bond that forms when you fight side by side with men who were once strangers, becomes your new reality. You're not just fighting for your home anymore, you're fighting for the future. For a future that doesn't rely on the crumbling remnants of the Roman Empire. The village, too, is changing. The men who once tilled the soil now stand guard, learning the art of war. The women are just as involved, not just in supporting the men, but in reinforcing the village's defenses, preparing supplies, and training themselves for the challenges ahead. The Saxons are only the beginning. You all know that now. The world is filled with enemies, and the only way to survive is to be stronger than they are. In the quiet moments, when the training has paused and the day is winding down, you sometimes catch yourself thinking back to the life you once had, the simple life of a farmer, of tending the fields and living off the land. It seems so far away now, but you can't go back. Not after everything you've seen, everything you've become. You've crossed the line between the past and the present. Historians still debate whether Artorias' transformation of Britain was truly the birth of a new order, or whether it was simply the survival of a broken land. Some say it was his leadership that forged Britain into something stronger, something united. Others say it was the people, the ordinary villagers who became soldiers, who made the difference. Whatever the case, you know one thing for sure. This new life, this soldier's life, is not easy, but it is yours. And it's the life that will see you through whatever comes next. The Dragon Standard. It's not long after the first battle that the winds of change begin to stir across the settlement once more. The Saxons may have been pushed back, but the war is far from over. You've been training, adapting, and growing stronger, but Artorias knows that surviving a battle is one thing. Building something that will last is another. You wake to a new sense of purpose. The sun rises slowly, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, and there's a strange feeling in the air. You can hear the hum of activity already. The sounds of men sharpening swords, women preparing food and medicine, the murmurs of strategy being discussed in hushed tones. The village, once so quiet, has become a hub of activity, each day bringing a new challenge, a new task to undertake. One of the most striking changes is the new symbol that has emerged in the settlement. The banner Artorias has chosen is a simple one, at first glance, at least. A dragon, its wings spread wide, a symbol of strength, power, and resilience. But when you look closer, you realize that it is more than just a banner. It's a representation of what Artorias stands for, a unity of old and new, a bridge between the past and the future. The dragon is not just an ancient symbol, it's a call to arms. a reminder that Britain will rise, will fight, will defend its future. You watch as Artorius raises the dragon standard for the first time, his hand steady, his gaze unyielding. It's a powerful moment, and you can see the effect it has on the men and women of the village. There's something almost magical in the way the dragon flutters in the wind, a sign that this land, your land, is no longer divided. You are part of something greater now. The past is gone, the Roman legions are a memory, but this is the future. The dragon standard becomes a rallying point. Every soldier, every villager, begins to understand the importance of this symbol. It's no longer just about the sword, or the battle, or the blood that's been spilled. It's about the future you're all fighting for. It's about unity, about standing together, about forging a new destiny for Britain. As the days go on, you find yourself standing beside other men, all of you wearing the same symbol, the dragon stitched into the fabric of your tunic, your armor. It becomes a part of you, like a second skin. You're no longer just a farmer, no longer just a man from a small settlement. You're part of something that will be remembered, something that will stand the test of time. The dragon flies above the village, and with it, a new sense of purpose sweeps through the people. The Saxons may return, the Picts, the Irish. There will always be those who seek to take what isn't theirs. But now, you're ready. You've trained for this, you've prepared for it. And when the time comes to fight, you'll stand united under the dragon. You'll fight not just for survival, but for a future. Historians still argue whether the dragon standard, raised under Artorius' command, was the true beginning of the Britain's unity. Some say it was a powerful rallying symbol, one that gave people hope in the face of adversity. Others believe it was merely the symbol of one man's ambition. But you know what it meant. To you, the dragon isn't just a banner. It's a reminder of the strength of your people, the power of standing together, and the promise of what Britain could become. As you look at the banner flying high, you realize something. The world has changed, and you've changed with it. You're not just fighting to protect your village anymore. You're fighting for the future of a nation, a future that could be built from the ashes of the old world. And as long as the dragon flies above, you know that hope is not lost. The dragon cavalry rises. The days of training and preparation begin to feel like a distant memory, replaced by something far greater. The quiet rhythm of daily life in the village has been replaced by the pounding hooves of horses. You've become accustomed to the sound of swords clashing and shields scraping, but now, it's the cavalry that dominates the landscape. The dragon's standard flies proudly, and with it, the cavalry under Artorius' command grows stronger, fiercer, more disciplined by the day. It's hard to deny the impact of the cavalry on the settlement. What was once a small, struggling village has now transformed into a military stronghold, with horsemen patrolling the perimeter, ready to ride at a moment's notice. You stand at the edge of the village, watching as the riders train, their horses moving with an elegance and power that can only come from years of careful breeding and training. The soldiers on horseback ride like they've been born to it. They move in perfect harmony with their mounts, as if they're one with the creatures beneath them. The cavalry is more than just a force of nature. It's a symbol of Artorius' vision. The dragon standard now represents not only unity, but mobility. In the battles to come, these riders will be the ones who will outflank the enemy, who will strike swiftly and decisively. They are the spearhead of Artorius' army, and you can see the pride in their eyes as they hone their skills day after day. You watch as a group of men, some of whom you've trained alongside, now sit tall in the saddle, their eyes focused and unwavering. The first time you see them in full armor, mounted on their steeds, it's like seeing a completely different group of men. They no longer resemble the farmers or craftsmen they once were. They are warriors now, ready for battle. And though you haven't yet joined the cavalry, you feel a part of something much bigger, something that gives you a sense of purpose you never thought possible. You've seen Artorius ride before, of course, but now, as he leads the cavalry through the drills, his leadership becomes undeniable. He's a natural in the saddle, guiding his men with precision and authority. Every movement is deliberate, every command executed without hesitation. You see the soldiers rallying behind him, their loyalty to him obvious in the way they follow his every instruction without question. It's not just his skill that commands respect. It's the respect he gives to his men. He takes the time to speak with each rider individually, ensuring they feel valued, ensuring they know they are an important part of this new order. You've never seen a leader like him before. He doesn't just demand respect, he earns it, day by day, hour by hour. As the cavalry continues to grow, you notice the change in the village. There's a new energy here, a new sense of purpose. The men who once tilled the fields are now learning the art of horsemanship. They're not just fighters, they're riders, mobile and ready to strike from any direction. The dragon standard now flies above a force that is both grounded and free, ready to strike at a moment's notice, but also to retreat when needed, to move with speed and precision. The women of the village, too, have taken on new roles. While the men ride and train, the women work tirelessly to ensure the stability of the settlement. They work together to gather food, make armor, and prepare for the long term. The unity between men and women, fighters and builders, creates a balance that is essential to the survival of the settlement. It's not just the strength of the cavalry that will win battles. It's the unity of everyone working together for the same cause. The cavalry, however, is not just a tool for Artorias to use. It is a representation of the transformation that has taken place not just in the village, but in the hearts of the people. These horsemen are no longer just villagers. They are part of something much greater, something that could shape the future of Britain. The dragon standard has become a symbol of hope, of strength, of a future that can be rebuilt from the ashes of the past. You can see it now, clearer than ever before. This isn't just a battle for survival. It's a fight to forge a new destiny, one where Britain is not just a place that survives, but thrives. Artorias' vision for a united Britain is taking shape, and the cavalry, fast, strong, and disciplined, will be the driving force behind it. Historians still debate whether Artorias' cavalry was the true turning point in his campaign. Some say it was his mastery of land forces that secured his success, while others argue it was his strategic use of cavalry that changed the game. Either way, you know that what you're witnessing is something unique, something that will leave its mark on history. As the riders move through the village, as they train and prepare for the challenges ahead, you can feel the pulse of something powerful. You're not just a part of a village anymore. You're part of a movement, a force that will shape the future of Britain, no matter what comes. Tensions with the Saxons. The tension in the village grows palpable. Every day, the sound of horses' hooves becomes more frequent, more urgent. The Saxons may have retreated, but they are not gone. You can feel it in the air. Their presence still lingers, like a storm that has not yet passed. The scouts return from their patrols with news of Saxon movements along the border, their numbers swelling, their intentions unclear. It is not just a matter of defending your land anymore. It's a matter of proving that your people, under Artorias' leadership, are ready to stand firm. You stand with Artorias as he overlooks the strategic map of the region, a map that seems to grow more crowded by the day. The Saxons, despite their retreat, are a constant threat, and now there are whispers of a larger force massing to the east. Every village to the north, to the south, every part of Britain that was once a haven for farmers, traders, and craftsmen, is being drawn into a larger web of conflict. Are we ready? You ask, unsure whether the question is meant for him or for yourself. The weight of leadership hangs heavily on Artorias' shoulders, but he bears it with the kind of quiet determination that you've come to respect. His gaze is fixed, unwavering, as he traces the paths of the Saxon forces on the map. We will be, he replies, his voice steady. It is not just about fighting. It's about positioning ourselves in a way that we can defend what we've built. You've come to understand Artorias' approach over the past weeks. He doesn't fight battles for glory. He doesn't wage war for conquest. He fights to protect. His strategy is as much about defense as it is about offense. Every move he makes is calculated, every battle planned with the future in mind. He is not fighting for today. He's fighting for a future where Britain stands free and strong. Yet, There is no denying the growing anxiety in the village. The men are restless, eager to prove themselves in battle, but it's clear that the coming conflict will not be an easy one. The Saxons may be retreating now, but their leaders are not so easily discouraged. The long winter months have been spent in preparation, and now, as spring begins to bloom, the true test begins. The training intensifies. Artorius leads his men into drills more demanding than ever, honing their skills with the sword, the shield, and the bow. Every man is drilled in every discipline. Some of them are veterans, hardened by battles they fought before Artorius arrived. Others, like you, are learning on the fly, but you're no longer the timid farmer you once were. You've become something more, a soldier, a fighter, but the toll of training is taking its own price. The exhaustion weighs heavy on the men, and the worry about what lies ahead gnaws at the back of your mind. The fear of what the Saxons are planning, the possibility that your preparations may not be enough, these thoughts echo through your dreams, chasing away sleep and peace of mind. There are times when you wonder whether you'll ever be truly ready, whether you'll be able to hold the line when the Saxons come in full force. One morning, as the dawn light filters through the trees, you gather with the others near the village's outer walls. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and sweat, the feeling of a storm brewing both in the sky and in the hearts of the men around you. The tension is unbearable. Artorius stands before the gathered men, his eyes sharp and focused. There's no fanfare, no rallying cry, just the cold, hard truth. "They're coming," he says quietly, his voice carrying over the crowd. This is no longer a fight for survival alone. It is a fight for the future. Our future. The men nod in silence, their resolve hardening as they brace for the coming storm. You feel the weight of his words settle over you like a heavy cloak. This is it. The real battle is about to begin. Historians still debate whether Artorius' success in uniting the fractured tribes of Britain was truly due to his leadership, or whether it was the threat of the Saxons that finally brought the people together. Some argue that he was able to build unity by unifying Britain under one banner, the dragon. Others claim that his true strength lay in his ability to understand the land, to use both the strengths and weaknesses of his people to his advantage. Regardless, what was clear was that the Saxons were no longer a threat from a distance. They were now at the gates, ready to challenge everything Artorius had worked for, and there would be no turning back from that. The calm before the storm hangs heavy. You know the Saxons are preparing for their next move, and soon, the battle will be fought. And whether you live or die, whether you survive this war, will depend on your ability to trust in Artorius' plan and on your own strength. The battle for the future of Britain. The day of reckoning has arrived. You can feel it in the air, thick with tension, crackling like a storm waiting to break. The Saxons are coming. The horizon is clouded with uncertainty, and the sound of marching feet, both yours and theirs, fills the air, a steady drumbeat that echoes in your bones. The village is ready, its people armed and prepared, but you know that this will be no ordinary battle. It's not just about surviving another raid. This is the battle that will decide the future of Britain. You stand with Artorius, looking over the assembled forces. His dragon standard flies high above the makeshift camp, a symbol of unity and strength. The men around you are nervous, their faces drawn with the weight of what's ahead. The air smells of sweat and steel, and there's a restlessness in the crowd. Some of the men are already whispering to one another, their voices carrying the fear that has settled deep in their hearts. They've heard stories about the Saxons, of their relentless raids, their brutal tactics, and they wonder if they are truly ready for what's to come. But Artorius is calm, his gaze focused on the task ahead. He's not just a soldier, he's a leader, and his presence is a reminder that the people have something worth fighting for. As he walks among the men, his voice low and steady, you watch the change that comes over them. The fear in their eyes begins to fade, replaced by something stronger. Determination. Resolve. "We fight today," Artorius says, his voice carrying over the group. "Not for land, not for gold. We fight for each other, for our families, for a future where we control our own destiny. The words are simple, but they have an effect. The men stand taller, their shoulders squared, their swords gripped tightly in their hands. Artorius doesn't need to say much more. He's already said enough. And you understand now, this isn't just about defending Britain. It's about claiming it. This is your land, and it's worth fighting for. The battle begins as the Saxon army emerges from the trees, their war cries echoing across the landscape. You can see them now, their numbers far greater than you had hoped. The Saxon warriors are fierce, armed with heavy axes and shields, their eyes filled with the promise of bloodshed. They charge forward, and you brace yourself, feeling the weight of your sword in your hand, knowing that this is the moment you've been preparing for. The sound of battle fills the air, the clash of steel on steel, the screams of men as they fall, the steady rhythm of the drumbeat that marks the flow of the fight. The first wave of Saxons hits the village walls, their forces pushing against the defenses with an intensity that takes your breath away. But Artorius' men are ready. The shields hold firm, the swords strike true, and the Saxons are driven back for a moment, their fury momentarily stilled. But the Saxons are relentless. They regroup, their war drums pounding as they rally for another assault. You can feel the tension building with each passing moment. The walls are holding, but for how long? Artorius stands at the front, his sword flashing as he directs his men, shouting commands with a voice that cuts through the chaos. "Hold the line," he commands. "Do not break. Do not let them pass." You fight beside the men, your body moving on instinct, your training kicking in as the enemy presses forward. Each swing of your sword feels heavier, but you push through, your heart pounding in your chest. You are not just fighting for survival anymore. You are fighting for a future that will only exist if you stand strong. The battle rages on, hour after hour. The Saxons push forward, trying to break through the defenses, but each time they are met with the strength of the villagers, the strength of Artorius' army. You can see the shift in the Saxons' morale. With every failed charge, their resolve begins to crack, their warriors growing more desperate, more disorganized. But then, something changes. The Saxons begin to retreat, their forces scattering as they realize that they are no match for the united front that Artorius has built. You watch in awe as they fall back, retreating into the forest from which they came, their war cries turning to murmurs of defeat. And then, as quickly as it began, the battle is over. The village stands, its walls still intact, its people still breathing. The Saxons are gone, for now. You stand among the men, your body sore, your muscles aching, but you feel a sense of triumph, of relief. You have fought, you have won, and you have proven that, together, you can stand against anything. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the battlefield, Artorius walks among the fallen, his face grim but resolute. The cost of victory is clear. There are too many dead, too many wounded, but it's a price that was worth paying. The Saxons may return, but for today, Britain has stood. Historians will argue for centuries about the significance of this battle. Some say it was the turning point, the moment when Artorius proved himself as the leader Britain needed. Others believe it was a mere skirmish in a much larger war that was still to come. But for you, this battle is everything. It is the moment that defines your future. The Saxons have been pushed back, but there is still much to be done. For now, though, you rest, knowing that you have earned this victory. You have defended your land. You have stood with Artorius, and together, you have ensured that Britain's future is yours to shape. Victory and loss. The aftermath of the battle feels surreal. The village, which just hours ago was gripped by the sounds of war, now rests in a quiet that is both soothing and haunting. The sun sets low on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the smoke-filled battlefield where the dead and wounded lie scattered across the field. You stand in the middle of it, your sword still in your hand, the weight of the day's events pressing on your shoulders. The Saxons have retreated, but the victory feels bittersweet. The sounds of the battle still echo in your mind, the clash of shields, the cries of the fallen, the sheer chaos of it all. You can still hear the roar of the Saxon warlord, the thunder of his warriors charging toward your walls, and the moment when Artorius's blade struck him down. That moment of triumph is forever etched into your memory, but it comes at a cost. You've seen the faces of the fallen, men you trained with, men you fought alongside. Some you knew by name, others you only knew by their faces, their strength. They are now gone. They won't return to their families, to their homes, to the lives they once had. And their absence is a constant, aching reminder of the price of survival. As the hours pass, you move among the wounded, helping where you can. Some of the men are in critical condition, their wounds deep, their survival uncertain. The women of the village have already begun to tend to them, applying poultices and bandages, doing everything they can to ease their suffering. You assist where you can, carrying water, offering what little comfort you can to the men who have given so much. The weight of the moment begins to settle over you. Artorius moves through the wounded with the same calm and determination that has defined him since his arrival. He speaks to each man, offering words of encouragement, his presence a steadying force in the chaos. He doesn't shy away from the fallen. He kneels beside them, offering a hand, a word, a gesture of respect for those who gave everything to protect the land they loved. You watch him as he moves from one wounded man to the next, his face set in a mask of stoic resolve, but there's a flicker of sorrow in his eyes. He's seen death before, but it doesn't make it any easier. It never does. As a leader, he must bear the weight of their sacrifice, and you can see the toll it takes on him. Finally, as the last of the wounded are cared for and the fires are stoked to keep the night's chill at bay, you find yourself standing alone at the edge of the battlefield. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon, and the stars are starting to peek through the clouds. The air is cold, the silence deafening. You think of the lives lost today, the men who won't be coming home, the families who will never see their fathers, brothers, and sons again. And yet, there is a part of you that knows this battle, this victory, was necessary. The Saxons would have come again, and next time, perhaps they would have been stronger, more prepared. But today, Britain stands. Your people stand. You stand. But the victory feels hollow. There is no rejoicing tonight. Only the quiet hum of survival. Only the knowledge that this is not the end. It can never be the end. Artorius joins you after a while, his boots crunching in the gravel as he approaches. He says nothing at first, his eyes scanning the battlefield, the faces of the fallen. He's seen this before, and yet you can tell that each loss is a personal blow. Do you think it was worth it? You ask, the question hanging in the air like a cloud you can't shake. The weight of it is too much to bear alone, and you need to know if Artorius feels the same. Artorius doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he looks at you, his gaze steady, searching. Finally, he speaks, his voice low and tired. The price of peace is always high, but it's a price I'm willing to pay. He pauses, as if weighing his next words carefully. We've lost much today, and there will be more loss ahead. But what we've gained is worth it. We've shown that we can fight. We've shown that we won't go down without a fight. We've proven that Britain is worth saving. You nod, though part of you still wonders if it's enough. If the sacrifices you've made will truly lead to the peace Artorius promises. But for now, you push those thoughts aside. For now, you focus on the present. The battle is over. The Saxons have been driven back. And for the first time in a long while, you believe that you might just make it through this. Artorius places a hand on your shoulder, his grip firm but not unkind. You fought well, he says, his voice a quiet affirmation of the bond you share with him and the men who fought beside you. We will rebuild, and we will stand stronger. You don't say anything in response. There's nothing left to say. Instead, you turn your gaze back to the battlefield, the firelight flickering in the distance, casting long shadows over the land. The victory is hard won, and the cost is high, but the war is far from over. Historians will debate the true significance of this battle for centuries to come. Some will say it was a mere skirmish in a long and bloody campaign. Others will claim it was the moment that solidified Artorius's role as the leader Britain needed. But for you, it's not just about the outcome. It's about the men who fought beside you, the families you've promised to protect, and the future that still lies ahead. As the night deepens, you know that this victory is just the beginning. There will be more battles, more losses, and more sacrifices. But with Artorius leading you, you know that Britain can stand, that it can survive, and that it can thrive. a new Britain. The days after the battle pass slowly, like the calm after a storm. You return to the village, which is now a place of both quiet mourning and quiet determination. The wounded are still being tended to, the dead buried with the honor they deserve, and the scars of battle are slowly fading from the land. But the work is far from over. The Saxons have retreated, but you know they will be back. The future of Britain, the very survival of your people, still hangs in the balance. The village has changed. It's no longer just a settlement. It's a fortress in its own right. Artorius' leadership has transformed it. The men, once farmers and traders, are now soldiers, skilled in the art of war. The women, too, have found their place in this new world. Their roles expanded to include the vital work of supporting the warriors who fight for their homes. Artorius does not rest. He moves through the village with a quiet intensity, overseeing the rebuilding of the defenses, organizing the training of the men, and making sure that every corner of the land is secure. His leadership is not just about battle. It's about rebuilding, about ensuring that Britain's future will not be dictated by invaders, but by its own people. His vision for the future is clear: Britain, united, strong, and self-sufficient. You stand with him one evening, overlooking the village from the top of the newly constructed watchtower. The dragon's standard flies high, a symbol of the unity that has been forged in the fires of war. Artorius is looking out over the land, his eyes fixed on the horizon, his mind, no doubt, already thinking of the challenges that lie ahead. "You've done it," you say, standing beside him, your voice quiet but filled with respect. "This is what you wanted, a new Britain." Artorius nods, his gaze still fixed on the horizon. "We've come a long way, but this is just the beginning. This land is ours, but it will take time to rebuild what was lost. The Saxons will return, and there will be other threats as well. But we have something they don't. We have unity, we have strength, and we have the will to protect what is ours." You turn your gaze toward the village below, the flickering lights of the fires in the distance. There is a new energy here, a new sense of purpose. The people are no longer just surviving. They are building. They are creating something that will last, something that will stand the test of time. Artorius speaks again, his voice soft, but filled with the weight of his responsibility. "This land was once ruled by Rome, but now it belongs to the people. To you, to me, to everyone who has fought and bled for it. We have no empire, no foreign rulers. We are the rulers of this land now, and we will decide what happens next." The words settle heavily in the air. You can feel the weight of what he's saying. This is more than just a battle. This is the birth of a new Britain, one that will rise from the ashes of the old world. The Romans may have left, but their legacy is not what defines Britain. It is the people who define it now. You watch as the sun sets behind the hills, casting a warm glow over the village. The shadows stretch long, but the light is still there. You can see it in the eyes of the people around you. There is hope now, where there was once only fear. There is purpose, where there was once only survival. Artorius turns to you, his eyes steady, filled with a quiet confidence. "The Saxons may come again," he says, "but we will stand. We will not bow. We will not yield. This is our land now, and we will protect it. Together." You nod, feeling the weight of his words, but also the strength that comes with them. This is your land, too. This is your future, your people. You fought for it, and now you will rebuild it. As the days pass, the work continues. The village is fortified, the walls strengthened, the people trained. Artorius' vision is slowly becoming a reality. You can see it in the faces of the men who march through the fields, the women who help to rebuild the homes and shelters, the children who are beginning to grow up in a world where the fear of invasion no longer defines them. The Saxons are still out there, and there are other threats on the horizon. But for the first time in a long while, you believe that Britain can stand on its own. The legacy of Rome may have faded, but the legacy of Artorius is just beginning. Historians still debate the true significance of Artorius' reign. Some say he was the king Britain never had, the leader who brought unity and strength to a fractured land. Others claim that his vision was never fully realized, that the world he fought to create could not survive the chaos of the centuries that followed. But you know what it meant. You know that what he built, what you built, was something worth fighting for. As you stand beside Artorius, looking out over the land you fought to protect, you understand one thing for certain. this is only the beginning. The future of Britain is not yet written, but you will be a part of it. You will defend it. You will help rebuild it. And together, you will make sure that the future of this land is one of strength, unity, and freedom. The dragon's standard flies high, and with it, a new Britain rises. A king's legacy. The days continue to pass, and with each one, Britain grows stronger. The winds of change are blowing through the land, and with them comes the promise of a future built on the sacrifices of those who have fought to protect it. You stand on the edge of a new era, one that will be defined not by the past, but by the strength of the people who have risen from the ashes of a broken world. Artorias moves among the people with a quiet confidence, overseeing the rebuilding of villages, the strengthening of defenses, and the training of the next generation of fighters. But even as he works tirelessly to ensure that Britain stands strong, there is a sense of weariness in his eyes. The weight of leadership has never been easy for him, and as the years pass, you can see the toll it takes on him. But still, he carries on, not for glory, but for the people. He doesn't seek a crown, and he doesn't seek power. He only seeks peace. And though the battles are far from over, Artorias knows that the future of Britain is not one that will be won by the sword alone. It will be won by the people who have been inspired by his vision, by the unity that he has fostered, and by the strength that comes from standing together. You watch him as he stands at the edge of the village one evening, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The dragon's standard flutters gently in the breeze, a symbol of everything he has fought for. He's no longer the stranger who arrived in the village all those months ago. He's something more now. He's the leader of a united Britain, the man who has brought hope to a land once broken and divided. As you approach him, he turns to you, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "You've done well," he says quietly. "You've all done well." You nod, but the weight of the moment is not lost on you. You've fought, bled, and sacrificed for this land, for this future. And though the road ahead is still uncertain, you know that the seeds of something great have been planted here. Artorias' legacy will live on, not just in the battles he fought or the victories he won, but in the people he inspired. His name will be remembered for generations to come, not as a king in the traditional sense, but as the man who helped build a new Britain, a Britain that is strong, united, and free. And as you stand beside him, watching the sun set over the land, you know that you have played a part in that legacy. Your fight, your sacrifice, has helped to shape the future of Britain. The battles may not be over, but with Artorias leading the way, you know that the future is bright. The night falls gently, and the sounds of the village, laughter, the crackling of fires, the murmurs of conversation, fill the air. It's a sound of life, of survival, of hope. And as the stars begin to twinkle in the sky above, you realize that the legacy of Artorias is not just about the battles he won, but about the world he has helped to create. This is a new Britain, a Britain where the people stand together, where the dragon's standard flies high, and where the future is in the hands of those who have the strength to protect it. And you know that, no matter what comes next, you will stand with Artorias, with your people, to defend this land. Because this is your home, and you are its protector. The journey is far from over. But as the night deepens and the sounds of the village fade into the distance, you feel a sense of peace settle over you. The legacy of Artorias is not just the legacy of a king. It is the legacy of a man who fought for the future. And that future, you know, will be bright. Sweet dreams.